Watching a lot of the big shows, particularly the Celine show recently, I noticed a lot of this kind of stuff. This is something that I wouldn't normally do, but now it's become my whole personality. I'm obsessed with it. There's a whole subculture happening on my hands. You girls been out in this crazy winter weather here in Australia, been running around in quite a few thrift stores. While this is not new information, I thought I would jump on here and share some tried and true thrift tips with you. They've really been driving home to me again recently, have been super helpful. So I thought I'd share. Got some little notes on my phone. Let's talk about it. Okay, the first thing is to look everywhere. Obviously, this is not always possible if you're on a bit of an express thrift. I've got some thoughts on that as well. But if you do have some time, it really is worth taking the time to look everywhere. So I see a thrift store as just this giant treasure chest. Yes, there are sections, but I just try not to worry about that. I don't see things in sections anymore, and every store that I go into, I will just be guided by what's capturing my attention, whether it be colors, textures. I mean, I could start in the kids section because I see a tutu that I like, or some tulle, or I could start in the haberdashery or the Manchester because I've spied some fabric that is enticing me. Really just let the vibe of the place dictate how I search. Especially some thrift stores have little drawers, shelves on the wall, and an example of that was a thrift trip recently. This store had like little kind of metal drawers coming off the wall, and within there was all this kind of like mix match of like leather belts and gloves and just random stuff. But in that, I found this beautiful double leather belt, so it wraps around twice. It's so cool. And the leather is insane, like really, really good leather. It's a brand that's been around for like well over 50 years, an Australian brand called Feathers. And that in itself kind of led me into doing more research, which is my second point. Scan. So really scan what you're looking at. Feel it, smell it. What's the fabric? What does it have written on it? So with the belt, for example, even though it was kind of a bit faded, I noticed that it said genuine leather, handmade in Australia, tick. Little hallmarks that you can then uncover more information with. The more that I looked at the belt and really inspected it, I noticed that it was a brand called Feathers. So I jumped on my phone and Googled that. Now, I did know about that brand, but doing that allowed me to learn even more about it. So I thought it was kind of like 90s, early 2000s, but it was actually started in Melbourne in the 70s, early 70s. Shout out to Margaret. She started it, in Melbourne, and it's still going strong. And I love seeing things like that, particularly like female owned, run, created businesses. Connected me to the clothes even more. The other way that I will use that as like an investigation tool is obviously Google Images. So you can take a photo of whatever it is that you're looking at, and Google will do a visual search for you, and then quite often that will give you some clues. Also looking at, there's a great site called the Vintage Fashion Guild. So it's got shots of labels from different eras. So you can quite often find a wealth of information on that platform. I also use eBay as a search tool. Red wool scarf, Gucci brand, something like that, and just see what comes up. That'll also give me an idea of the value of the piece, so I can determine if it's a great find. Looking at the fabric labels, I'm always looking out for natural fibers, wool, silk, cotton, hemp, linen, but obviously things that are vintage sometimes are a synthetic, if they're from the 60s or the 70s. All these little clues can add up to help you find things. Pinterest is a good search engine as well. I'm pretty sure that people use it just as much as Google for images and visuals, and things like that. So whenever I'm in a store, I'm kind of always, you know, on my phone, researching, looking. What that's doing is also really increasing my knowledge. And then that makes me a better thrifter, because the more that I know, the quicker I am at noticing things, the quicker I am at making decisions, the quicker I am at deciding, is this a score or not? On top of that, with the investigation process, I also investigate for things like metal zippers, metal buttons, buttons with logos, buttons with beautiful details, vintage buttons that are really quirky and unusual. I've got a dress, for example, on my Depop, and it's like a 70s house dress, and the buttons are square. They're black square buttons. So, you know, really unusual things like that will give you clues, the history of a garment. Unique elements of tailoring as well. The more that you investigate and really go over a garment with a fine tooth comb, so to speak, you'll be able to tell whether something is handmade or bespoke. You know, you can just tell that the stitching is just a little bit uneven, or you can tell when a button's been stitched on by hand. You can tell with bespoke suits, for example, quite often it'll have who the suit was made for, interesting details like that, or where the tailor's based. And with suits, look inside the pockets, because quite often that's where the fabrication tags are. That's also where the maker or the country that the fabric is from. So you're always looking out for things like 100% wool. Like the 70s and the 80s, there was a run of wool, and I noticed on suits a lot it's called like super fine or the super 100s. Things like that, the more that you Google, the more you can sort of understand what you're dealing with and what this piece is, and it really helps you to score the good stuff. My next tip, I don't really know how many tips this video is going to be. I'm just ranting and raving and getting it out while it's in my head. Next tip, my next idea is to really keep an open mind to the beauty in all things, and the beauty in things that you may not have thought about before or noticed before. Case in point, we all have our own style and aesthetic and things that we like, right? But as humans, as individuals, we grow, we evolve, we take on new tastes and new interests, and we get new experiences, especially with travel, etc., or reading, or, you know, watching certain documentaries. I really try to keep an open mind of, yes, this is kind of my style, but lately, for example, I'm having a real renaissance shift in focus with jewelry, especially. Watching a lot of the big shows, particularly the Celine show recently, I noticed a lot of this kind of stuff. So this is something that I wouldn't normally do, but now it's become my whole personality. I'm obsessed with it. Mixing metals, adding in different textures, different eras, different colors. This is very much like what the latest Celine show did, and they paired it back with more preppy classic pieces like, you know, striped tops, blazers, suiting, but this just kind of adds this quirky element of parts of your personality and your story and travel. Like, I've got everything on here from obviously my wedding jewelry to heirloom jewelry to vintage to tiny little, you know, crazy cheapy thrifty pieces, Navajo Indian. There's a whole subculture happening on my hands, and I love that about jewelry. And I've really been drawn to African jewelry lately. So I've been seeing a lot of, you know, beaded things, shell, really interesting textures, cord, just stuff that I would not normally look at, but it's really helping me to add this very cool new dynamic to my old pieces. Stay open to that and stay open to fresh ideas. And I feel like thrift stores are wonderful for that, because you never know what you're going to see. You never know what's in there. And so be open to that. Be excited by what you see. Also looking at colors on the rack. So the way that the clothes are just hanging out there organically and naturally as people come in, as things get moved around, you'll see quite often, well, I do, being a Libra and I'm very visual, I'll see textures blending together and I'm like, oh wow, purple and pink. I never thought about that before. Or print clashing that looks really interesting. Look at what's around you in those stores. I think that's why it's such a place for me of fun and creativity, because I just stay open to what's there. that really helps me to fine tune my personal style and come up with fun new ways to reinvent. I mean, these are all just things that I obviously already had, but it's definitely giving Celine 2025. So we love that. And this point kind of carries on from what I've just said, but I think it's good to have an idea to help you not overspend and over hoard. But within that, I always have an agenda-free mindset. Stay open to the thrift angels, stay open to what you might find, because you just never know. And as grassroots true thrifters, that's what we love about it. We love that treasure hunt. We love the concept of the unexpected and the magical surprise. It's kind of like the whole Labubu thing, right? A blind box, the unboxing, you don't know what you're gonna get. I think that's very much the aesthetic of a thrift store and why we're all so addicted to it, you know, and why it can be so therapeutic and enjoyable and great for our spirit, because it is just this inner child exploration and adventure. So most of the time when I'm going, I'm just open, and all of the things that I'm fine tuning, like my history in fashion, my knowledge around designers, designer DNA, all those things, they're all just sitting there marinating. So when I am in that open mindset, I can kind of pull from that library and use that within the freedom and the uncertainty of the adventure, if that makes sense. But if I am really looking for something, I'll definitely go with a list. I'll reference my Pinterest boards, but it's just fun to have that sense of free-spiritedness with thrifting, I think. Coming back to what we spoke of in the beginning was not worrying about sections. So I really do just go into all of them, and I particularly love the men's section. A lot of my clothes are men's. Like the fit of them better. I think it looks cooler on women. But again, I found things in the kids section. I've found great pieces that are over in the haberdashery, because things get moved around all the time in a thrift store. And not worrying about sections has really helped me to maintain that genderless approach with fashion, because to me clothes don't have a gender. It's just we humans who have decided, oh, that's what a girl wears and that's what a guy wears, and I don't subscribe to that. My husband and I share our wardrobes like a lot. That's just smarter, economic. It's just much better for the back pocket, but also it's fun because we just have this constant sort of revolving wardrobe that we can play around with. Having that freedom of not worrying about sections has really helped my personal style, because I just see the clothes, I just see fabrics, I just see cuts, colors. You know, I've got permission, so to speak, to just be drawn by that, you know, drawn to what is intrinsically appealing and attractive to me. I'm not concerned about sizing, I'm not concerned about labels. While it's great to find designer pieces in vintage, of course, if I find something that is a fast fashion piece, but I really like it and I know I'm gonna love it and I'm going to wear it, or I can reinvent it, then I will invite it into my wardrobe. I really don't have any of that judgment. It's just clothes. And the overarching name of the game here is to reuse what's already in existence and stop it from going to landfill. Good thrift karma is a thing. I totally believe in it. Be nice to other people in the store, be nice to the staff, talk to people, help people that are trying things on, or if you see something that looks really cute on something, on someone, tell them. I just really believe in that stuff. If I see things on the floor that have fallen off the racks, I pick them up, I put them back on the hangers. Don't leave stuff in the change room. I clean up after myself. I put the trolleys away if there's a trolley in the store. I just really try to be mindful and not be a selfish thrifter. And what I find is that it comes back to me. Also, don't get up in other people's grill in a thrift store. I went to a store opening recently and my friend and I were laughing about it, but at the same time, it's also like, bro, really, like just back off a bit. You know, we were on the racks and we were like looking through, and this girl just like literally pushed in the middle of us to get to this piece. Didn't even say excuse me. It was just like clearly like on the hunt. And look, I get it, you know, it's a free-for-all, but it doesn't mean that you can forget your manners. So just be aware of your surroundings, have social grace, have thrift etiquette, and I think the thrift karma comes back to you. You will find something beautiful. That's definitely what happened to me recently. I found this for Lee's birthday, this beautiful jade sphere. Check it out. These things are worth like close to $300. I found it for $5. It's so beautiful and heavy. And this was shortly after I was picking stuff up off the floor that had fallen down. And I told a girl that she looked nice and I loved the piece she was trying on. And then I found a really great jacket. And so I don't know, what goes around comes around. You know what I mean? And then lastly, I think this is my last point. Ask yourself questions when you are thrifting and you're tempted by something so that you don't become an eco hoarder. Do I really love this? Am I really going to wear it? Can I wear it at least 3 different ways? Do I have at least 3 different outfits that I could create with this piece from the existing items that I have in my wardrobe? Does this item really suit my lifestyle? There's no point buying a big pair of heeled boots if you've got a bunged up knee, or if you're always running around after your kids, always on your feet, and you've got like a really busy job. Like, is that really going to be practical for you? Asking yourself questions like that just puts a little bit of awareness around the situation so we don't become eco hoarders. And no judgment, we've all been there. I certainly was an eco hoarder for a while until I just really got myself, and I just had to be harsh and be honest about what I was wearing and what I wasn't wearing. What you're not wearing, it's really freeing once you let it go and you put it back into the circular economy and somebody else gets joy out of it, which is what I've been loving doing with my Depop store. It's so much fun connecting with that community and seeing my pieces go to a new home and seeing people excited about it. It's cool. It's nice to let go and just be really thrilled every time you open your wardrobe and you know that you can wear everything, and it makes getting ready a lot less stressful because you love everything. So I've still got some cleaning to do in my wardrobe and I will update you on that soon, but even just the half clean that I've done has been a game changer. I notice when I go thrifting now that I'm still really intentional. Because I did clean and cull so much, I was like, am I really gonna wear this? Or am I just being a little hoarder again? Girl, it's really helped to put a bit of mindfulness around the situation. So when you are in a thrift store, do try to check in with yourself and ask yourself those questions and be intentional. Anyway, a bit of a ravey video, this one, but I hope there was some pearls of wisdom in there for you. I hope it was helpful. Yeah, just remember those little tips when you're out thrifting, and it will definitely help you to get your ninja level pro thrifting game on. All right, loves, I'll see you really soon in the next one. Bye.